Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we know exactly what we're going to need to talk about because today is the day for many of you. Probably not many of you, actually, but for some of you, maybe only one of you, maybe none of you. Today is the day that MT.GOX is beginning the distributions of the Bitcoin that was held in the bankruptcy estate for over 10 years. That's right. If you don't know the story by now, I'll go ahead and clue you in. About 10 years ago, there was an exchange called MT.GOX, which was an abbreviation of Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. It was founded in, I believe, 2011, maybe 2010, as an online trading card game for the card game Magic the Gathering. Later on, it decided, you know what's more lucrative than Magic the Gathering? Trading Bitcoin. So it became a cryptocurrency exchange. And when it got hacked in 2014, it amounted to one of the largest financial disasters in the history of the world, period. Also, the largest financial disaster in the history of the Bitcoin market at all, ever. It was only a couple of years before MT.GOX went down and about 800,000 Bitcoin vanished. That Bitcoin was first ever used for some kind of purchase transaction when pizza was bought on Pizza Day. And so when about 650 to 950,000 Bitcoin disappeared on that exchange, it was obviously a huge mess. And so for the last 10 years, the MT.GOX bankruptcy estate has had a trustee in charge of it, and they've been working on distributing payouts. And so now that Bitcoin, as of today, the 5th of July, 2024, has begun to be paid out. We made a video on Wednesday talking about how Bitcoin could very soon drop $10,000, and it's so funny because we got some hate in that comment. We probably got like 10 responses to that video in the comments where people are like, Jeb said it's going to drop $10,000. Bottoming signal. Oh my gosh, counter trade, Jeb, you're going to do great. Ever since the production of that video, Bitcoin dropped $8,000 and is currently down $5,500. We talked about on this video 2 days ago. It was on Wednesday, 3rd of July. Bitcoin, as you can see in the video here, is trading at $60,330. That Bitcoin could drop up to $10,000. I explained exactly why. Luckily, a lot of you guys did watch the video and did get the hint and did, you were kind of prepared for it. But if you didn't, it's okay, because today I'm going to share with you why this is obviously in the short term, kind of a devastating move for the bulls, but in the longer term, may actually be one of the most advantageous things that could have happened to you as you work in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space. Today, we are not only going to be talking about what in the world just happened to Bitcoin as we jumped off a cliff like water over a mountain. We're also going to be talking about exactly how smart investors operate in these markets. You want to be a smart investor, right? The whole thing that we take, my whole shtick, everything I talk about, it all goes back to financial sovereignty. Being sovereign over your wealth, being the one that controls it rather than it controlling you, and putting it on a collision course with growth and success and prosperity, because I want you to have a good and generous heart. And if you've got a good and generous heart, man, I want you to have some money because you can do some good with it, right? So we're going to talk today about how to actually build wealth through this drop. What do smart investors do? And what do foolish investors do? What do millionaires and 10 millionaires and 100 millionaires and billionaires do when the market operates this way? And what do the fools do? We're going to break that down because it's incredibly important that we understand the difference. You see, the people that got rich over the last 30 years and the people that went broke over the last 30 years and stayed broke, They live on the same Earth. Now, they've lived different lives, but they live on the same Earth. They live in the same time. They live with the same technology. And again, I understand they don't necessarily have the exact same opportunities, and they certainly don't have the exact same starting point, and that does have something to do with it. But I'll also tell you that many of the people that I know that are highly wealthy did not come from wealth. Because when you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you're not taught the grit that it takes to build the kind of wealth that I want to help you guys to build. Today, no matter where you started, I'm going to show you how to finish strong. Let's go ahead and read some chat. If you are new here, welcome to the stream. So very blessed and honored that you would join us today. Go ahead and give us a waving hand emoji in chat. I would love to give you individually a shout out. Thank you so much for being here. I promise you, I will be a good steward of your time. I will not waste your precious time. I will share with you exactly how to build wealth here in cryptocurrency while also talking about what exactly is going on. Shout out to everybody. Hope you all had a wonderful 4th of July. My family and I went out to a fireworks display. We thought there were going to be like 50 people there. We had no idea what we were getting into. There were over 10,000 people in the field yesterday. Absolutely crazy. Live band, biggest fireworks. We didn't know this was what we were going to, but we went to the largest fireworks display of any small town fireworks display in the entire world. It was in the entire country, excuse me. It was like a 30-minute long show. Huge. I mean, it was obviously there. It started at 9:30, so it was dark out, right? It was bright as day when those fireworks were going off. Absolutely crazy. Love our land. Thank you to all of our veterans that may or may not be watching. Thank you to anyone who has fought for our country, our servicemen, servicewomen, police officers, firefighters, all of you that are contributing to the nation in some way. Thank you guys so very much, and God bless the United States of America. Grand Roofing Incorporated said, everybody hit the like button, and anyone for the first time in here, give a wave emoji, and Jeb will give you a special shout out. Grand Roofing Incorporated knows the deal now. Shout out to Sugashane. What is up? Welcome to the stream. So glad that you could be here. Very honored by you guys' presence. Difla. Did I get that right? Difla gave the wave. Shout out to you. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Cali Fried Chicken 619 gave us that emoji. Hello, the phone emoji. I call this the phone emoji. That's how the kids, the little kids use it. All right, fireworks were huge. Yes, they were. They were absolutely enormous. Absolutely great. Now, we've got a lot to talk about because there are some fireworks going on in cryptocurrency today, and not so much the fireworks that happen in the sky, but like we saw last night, one of the fireworks that I don't know, but it kind of looked like one of the big ones went off on the ground. Luckily, the fire department was there, but that's more of what's going on with Bitcoin right now. Not a firework in the sky, more of a firework where it goes off on the ground and sets everything on fire, right? So Bitcoin just a couple of days ago on Monday was trading at $63,800. For any of you who are watching the stream, you will know that I was skeptical about this breakout. We had, strictly speaking, broken resistance at 64,470, and on the daily chart, strictly speaking, we had come very close anyway to setting a bullish cross on MACD. We also, at the time, had broken above the 14 interval moving average on the daily chart. If you're watching the stream, if you've been watching the videos, you'll know that I've been incredibly skeptical about this breakout. You'll also know that we've been talking about price targets down as low as $49,000, but as high as $52,800. The first price target that we predicted Bitcoin would go to was $52,800. Friends, Bitcoin has dropped down to $53,400. So we got within about $500 to $600 of that first price target, and frankly, we might still drop down there. How were we able to make that prediction, and what led us to that conclusion? Because what led us to that conclusion is indeed what happened. What led us to the conclusion is twofold, the bullish and the bearish side. The short term is the bears. The bears are the short term right now. They are the ones that are driving the short term price action because most of this crash is predicated on exactly two things. Number one, the Mt.GOX distributions, which are beginning their over 47,000 Bitcoin transferred from a Mt.GOX wallet worth approximately $2.5 billion to $2.7 billion, depending on which price you're going by, today's or yesterday's. That was transferred to a wallet and transferred in multiple transactions, including 1,545 Bitcoin to a hot wallet on crypto exchange Bitbank. We are seeing a huge amount of the Bitcoin distributions going on today. as of yesterday and this morning. So this is a developing story that is happening right now. And so this is the first of the two major factors that are leading to a correction on Bitcoin. By the way, can I just break the tension a little bit? You know, like you're reading the Gospels and it lists out the, you know, the Gospel writers, they list out the 12 disciples and they say Judas, the one who later betrayed Jesus. It's like, spoiler alert. Well, obviously, it's not about getting your attention, Bill. It's about just knowing what happened. So I'm just going to give you a spoiler alert, just like that. You know, Judas, the one that later betrayed Jesus. I'm just going to go ahead and give you the answer right now so that you understand what's going on. This is a good ending. There's a good ending to this story. Right? But we've got to get there first. So let's continue. The first thing that's causing this bearish price action is the fact that we are seeing the Mt.GOX distributions happen right now. And over the last several weeks, we've known that the Mt.GOX distributions were coming. This correction is because primarily of Mt.GOX. That's what's going on. It's not more complicated than you think it is. Guys, oftentimes, the plain text reading of the market is the one to go by. I have been doing technical analysis every single day on this chart for the last 7 years. I have dedicated the last quarter of my life to this chart, guys. I know this chart probably better than anybody on YouTube. And the reason that I say that you want to go with the plain text reading is because oftentimes the market is shouting at you what's going on, and we don't want to hear it because, oh, we want to be contrarian, or, oh, we want to follow this train of thought. Oh, we want to follow that train of thought. One of the reasons that people think technical analysis is a scam is because you have so many people trying to read into it when really it is the story. We don't need to figure out what the story is. The market and the price is the story. If something goes on, here's the tautological definition of price action, right? Tautological mean a definition that is defined by itself. It goes in a circle like the serpent eating its tail, right? Here's the tautological definition of technical analysis. We are analyzing the price action, and the price action is impacted by the news. And so if we understand all those things, we come together. The information that impacts the market impacts the market. Whoa, wait a minute. You see the circular reasoning here? Oftentimes, that's the thing that's at the core, right? Often that's the thing that's at the core. Why is God good? Well, because he is the definition of good. Well, wait a minute, what? Yeah, literally, that's it, because he's the definition. Why is blue blue? Well, because blue's blue. What? Why is red red? Well, because red's red. Because that's what we've defined it as, right? So when we look at the market, we say, news impacts the market. And how do we know the news impacted the market? Because it impacted the market. The market is driven by the machinations, which lead to the manifestations of the traders. The machinations being what the traders are thinking, the manifestation being the actual action of doing the trade and moving the market up or down. So the first bearish movement, the first bearish thing that we're seeing right now is the fact that Mt.GOX has begun its distributions. How do we know that that is happening? How did we know that that was going to happen? Because it was freaking obvious. It was not that hard. Like, listen, guys, I'm not sawing my assistant in half. I'm not pulling a rabbit out of a hat that had no I'm not doing, this is not magic. It's actually very simple. And in my experience, after doing, God, probably at least 5,000 hours of technical analysis on this one chart, Bitcoin over USD, I can tell you that oftentimes the simplest explanation is the explanation you ought to go with. And right now the explanation is Mt.GOX is the one that's, Mt.GOX, the distributions from Mt.GOX is the thing that is crashing the market. And that's why we knew that the market would likely crash more, because the market had not actually witnessed the Mt.GOX distributions begin yet. So when they began, since we already have proof that the Mt.GOX distributions have the ability to drop the market because they did right here, then when they actually began the distributions, it was probably going to drop the market even more. That's why right here we were predicting a $5,000 to $10,000 drop, because we knew that Mt.GOX could crash the market. That was just the rumor. When the news came out, it was obviously going to be very bearish, because tens of thousands of Bitcoin were going to be released to creditors that are now in 100x profit. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of profit. Of course they're going to sell it. I would. Would you not? Yeah, I would totally sell it. I'd still roll like 80% of it back into other investments, but you're dang right I would sell it. Of course I would. I'd hold on to some of it. I wouldn't sell all of it. I'd always hold on to some Bitcoin, but I'd sell some of it for sure. That's how we were able to predict it was going to drop $5,000 to $10,000, because we saw that this news was impacting the market, and we predicted that the news wasn't over. So when that came in, it was going to cause a drop. Now, the second reason that Bitcoin is dropping here is because Bitcoin went through a protracted bull market, a protracted rally. We rallied 200%, $50,000 in 185 days. That is the largest rally that Bitcoin has seen in years, and over 1% a day. And so Bitcoin was always going to need to have a large corrective movement at this point in time. And so that's what Bitcoin is doing. We are having the combination of the correction from the Mt.GOX distributions and the correction from the consolidation of the bull market rally that we just saw happening at the same time. And we are also, of course, seeing that there are fears over, and this is kind of a third factor. This is probably not as significant as those two factors, but it is definitely relevant. When you see the market is very concerned that we're not seeing interest rate drops from the Fed yet. So we'll keep that in mind. Keep that in mind for sure. There is this concern going on that we're not going to see interest rate drops until next year, and so that's putting some FUD into the market. Big shout out to Victor Stevens and Dallas Cowboys all day. Shout out to you guys. Welcome to the stream. So honored you would be here and join us. Let's keep it moving here, guys. All right. So that's what happened. What happens next, and what do we do about it? Well, at the moment, Bitcoin is attempting to hold the $2 trillion market capitalization zone. We're going to see if it can do that. If crypto cannot hold $2 trillion in market cap, we're probably going to drop down to 1.75, which is our local resistance that we set here, local support rather, that used to be resistance, that was set here in January of 2024. Luckily, that's only 6 months ago, so it's not the end of the world if that's what we do, but $1.75 trillion would likely be where we go. That would, of course, be approximately a 12% drop from here. And so that if that 12% drop did happen on total market capitalization, that would, of course, since Bitcoin has about 50 to 60% market dominance, about 58% market dominance right now. Of course, that would be mostly a drop on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does start dropping, it'll send total market capitalization below 2 trillion, which it'll probably bounce around around 1.75. That'd be about a 12% drop on Bitcoin as well, which would be a drop down to $48,000. Which, remember what I said about January 12th, that was the day that the Bitcoin ETF launched. If we fall all the way back down to $48,000, that would probably be a very important decision point. And here's why I say a decision point, why it might not be actually just be over at that point. At that point, that means that most of the people that bought the Bitcoin ETF would now no longer be in profit. Most of the people that bought the Bitcoin ETF bought here, although there were inflows from smart money investors down here. These guys that bought the Bitcoin ETF and are new to cryptocurrency, if they see that they're underwater on their investment, they might panic sell. And so if we do drop down to 49,000, there is a possibility we could actually drop a lot lower. Now, this is not really good news here because this would be a cascading event, a cascading series of bad news. You got a lot of people that just got into the Bitcoin ETF for the first time over here. Then they're getting burned. That puts a sour taste in Wall Street's mouth. But it was always going to happen. People lose money on investments. That's just the way it is. It's part of the market maturing. It's part of people understanding that the market needs to mature. So if we do drop down to $49,000, be aware of this decision. Are the people holding the Bitcoin ETF, tens of thousands of Bitcoin that are in the Bitcoin ETF, actually well over $100,000, 100,000 Bitcoin at this point, are they going to panic sell, or are they going to be wise and they're going to do what we're going to talk about here in a minute? On the other hand, Bitcoin could have bottomed out here. It could have actually truly bottomed out because we've dropped down into the same RSI zone again. We've fallen down here and double bottomed, right? We dropped down to 25, which is basically where we are right now. So if we are done here, and if we see another week or so of distributions going on, people start to sell it, and then we start to see some bearish pressure over the next couple of weeks to couple of months, then that's where we may just stay down here for a time. Maybe there's enough buying pressure from people that are being wise. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And that's going to keep the market afloat. If not, as I said, $49,000 would be my next target. And if we do get there, I would honestly be a little bit concerned about it breaking just because of the sheer amount of new blood that we have in the space over here. When people get into the cryptocurrency space for the first time, a lot of times they are thinking to themselves, even if they're experienced stock investors, a lot of times they're thinking to themselves, should I hold this for the long run? I have developed this, extreme confidence that if you hold Bitcoin for 10 years, it's going to succeed. The same way that in the stock market, there has never been a single point in time where if you held U.S. stocks, the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones Industrial Average for over 20 years, you were not in profit year over year. There's not been a single instance of that in the history of the United States equities market. Much the same, I don't believe, I'd have to check my data here, and you guys can fact check me on this, but I'm quite confident that there has not been a single time in the history of Bitcoin that Bitcoin has ever not been in a profit if you held it for 10 years. I am like 99.9% certain of that. I don't know where the exception to that would be. I can't see it on my chart. The biggest thing I could think of would be 20K here, and then, you know, several years later, 5 years later, we were technically down a little bit, but honestly, that's 5 years, not 10 years, right? You hold it for 7 years at any point in Bitcoin's history, I think you're still in a profit. So people need to develop that sense of confidence in Bitcoin, and I think that's going to come, but I also think that that takes some maturing. People didn't have that sense of confidence in the United States stock market 100 years ago in the middle of the Great Depression, or 90 years ago in the middle of the Great Depression. They didn't have that confidence. They do now, because it's been a century of a track record. If you held the stock market for 20 years, you were always in a profit, period. Even if it was only 2%, 3% annualized, you were always in a profit. People are beginning to develop that same confidence in Bitcoin, although it's not fully developed yet. And so when people are coming from the stock world and they're used to saying, well, if I screw it up, I can just call it retirement and not ever touch it again until I'm 60, then they just, you know, all right, I went belly up on this index. It's a giant index. It's obviously going to come back. I'll hold it, right? They're not necessarily having that same confidence in Bitcoin, so there could be quite a bit of selling pressure. Again, it's a part of the maturing of the space. Now, what are smart investors going to do here? What are wise investors going to do here with this market as it stands right now? Here's exactly what a wise person does when the market does this. Here is exactly what a wise person does. This is not even technical analysis. This is just like basic investment. We have to invest based on principles. It's incredibly important that we do. A principled first approach to investment is the only way. It's not one way. It's not the best way. It is the only way to succeed as an investor. It is the only way to do it. And the reason for that is because if you don't take a principled approach, then you'll be tossed about like a ship on the sea. You're going to make bad decisions. You'll be more prone to emotions. And I'm not against you being an emotional creature. You were created that way. But when you start making irrational decisions in emotion, which is incredibly easy to do when you're an investor, that's when you get burned. And so what a wise investor does here is they start out with this concept of, what do I invest in? What do I invest in? I invest, my principle for what I invest in assets that I reasonably believe will be worth more and significantly more in 5 years than they are now. 10 years, 20 years, right? Whatever the time frame is. We say 5 years because genuinely I want it to be at least 5 years, right? I want it to be worth more in as little as 5 years, but even if it was to take 10 years, right? Or 20 years, like it sometimes does in stocks. You know, in the 2000s, market traded sideways for 8 or 9 years. People were still accumulating. They were wise. We take that principle and then we run with it, and we say to that principle, okay, well, if I'm only investing in assets that I have a 95% confidence are going to be worth more in 5 to 10 years than they are now, and significantly more, then it doesn't really matter where I buy the asset. What matters is that I'm buying the asset, and you shift truly from being a trader to an investor. Because some of us, including myself, are doing investments for this bull market, but actually what they are is they're trades. An investment you hold and you don't really have a plan for when you're going to liquidate it. You're just going to hold it for an incredibly long time. And maybe you do have a plan. Maybe I'm going to sell it in retirement. Maybe I'm going to sell it 20 years from now. What you're doing when you're trading is you're betting on your ability to read the market. When you're being an investor, you're betting on the ability of the market to just be higher if you give it enough time. An investor is somebody who is making money because they just know that the market's going to be worth more in the future. How much more? They might not know exactly. As a trader, you're saying, I think this asset's going to be worth 4 times as much in a year and a half, so I'm going to buy that and I'm going to sell it in a year and a half. That's what a lot of us are doing with this bull market, including myself, right? And so when you come at it from a truly investor's approach, nothing wrong with the trading approach, but when you start as an investor and then layer trading on top of that, if you choose to go that route, that's where you can take the principled first approach of saying, I'm going to buy assets that I reasonably believe will be worth more in 5 years than they are now, 95% confidence. And you buy it, and even if it goes down 20, 30, 40%, you're still buying more. Because the people that make a lot of money in the long run are not the people that are trading the ups and downs. They're not the people trying to time the market. Those people are rare. They're few and far between. There are a few people that will be traders, and they will make a lot of money. There are a few of them. They are very, very much the minority. The vast majority of people that get into trading fail, especially if it's not your full-time gig and you're not inclined to that kind of lifestyle and that kind of work schedule and that kind of stress and that kind of pressure and all that. You're probably going to fail. It's so interesting on YouTube, the full-time traders get so much more attention than people that are teaching sound money principles, even though the sound money principles are what 99% of people are going to use to succeed. It's really sad, honestly. We want the silver bullet as a culture, not the actual wisdom, because the wisdom is not sexy. It's not attractive. It's like, man, I've heard that 100 times. I don't want to hear that again. Tough. The reason you're hearing it so much from people that know what they're talking about is because they know what they're talking about, and they did that to succeed. As a principled first investor, you can say, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to hold it for the long run, and even if it goes down, I'm going to be fine. And so here's what you do in this situation. You're going to... I bet at least 10 people click out as soon as I say this. And if you click out after I say this, either one, you had something that you had to do, and I understand that, or two, you just don't want to hear wisdom. You think that you can be smarter than this. You think that there's a better way than this. And I'm here to tell you, because I love you, not because I'm trying to be confrontational, that you're wrong. This is where you need to start. When you're putting your money to work for you, if you're just getting started putting your money to work for you, you do not have the experience to be a professional trader. You don't. If you just got out of debt, and by the way, if you're in debt, don't even start this. We've got the whole financial sovereignty way that teaches that. You're not going to be an intentional investor until you stop being a chaotic debtor. All right, some cold, hard truths here that might not be popular, but I know a lot of you guys have the ears to hear this. Here's how you succeed. You set up a schedule and you buy it on a schedule. You set up a schedule and you do it consistently. The way that you succeed in the gym, the way that you succeed in school, the way that you succeed running a YouTube channel is you put your hours in and you do it consistently. If you're doing things one-off, you'll never get anywhere. Custom work, companies that do custom work are either so large that they're doing custom work, but they're still doing 10,000 orders of that thing that they call custom, or they don't get large. Because unless you build a repeatable system, it fails. Here's your repeatable system. Every interval, I will invest X into Y on Z. Every Tuesday at 2 p.m., I will invest $100 into Bitcoin on Crypto.com. Every Friday at 5 p.m., myself and my wife, will invest $500 into Bitcoin, $200 into Ethereum on Crypto.com. Coinbase, whatever. And I'm going to do that till the cows come home, till hell freezes over, till the sky turns pink. I'm going to do that for a long time, straight through the dips. And by the way, I might even double the amount I'm going to put into the market when it drops. That's how you get rich. Millionaires are made during bull markets. Billionaires are made during corrections because you get a better deal. You make more money if you get a lower entry. It's that simple. And so when we are going through this corrective movement, I'm not saying it's over. I just talked to you about how $49,000 could actually be the gateway to something lower. Hell, guys, we could drop down to $38,000. It's possible. It really could happen. I hope it doesn't, but it could happen. If it does happen, those might be the last times you ever see those levels again in your entire life. And in the history of the Bitcoin market, we may never see those levels again. A wise investor who has made the decision that this is a market that will be worth more in 5 to 10 years, and I'm not scared to hold it for 5 to 10 years, even if in the next 12 months it goes belly up, which is what I've done with Bitcoin. I've been holding Bitcoin and Ethereum for over 5 years. By the way, both of those positions are up well over 10x. Well over 10x. At one point, they were down. Right now, they're worth up well over 10x because I've been holding them for almost a decade, some of them. A wise investor, and here's the entire video. Here's everything I want to convey in a nutshell. If you're a fool, you're going to see this as a bad thing. Either one, you're a fool, or two, you just aren't confident in Bitcoin, and that's okay. You're not a fool for not being confident in Bitcoin. You need to do your research. But if you've done your research and you've come to that pinnacle conclusion that I'm going to invest in things that are worth more in 5 to 10 years than they are now. I'm going to invest in things that I am very confident will be worth more in 5 to 10 years than they are now. If you've accepted this premise and you believe that about Bitcoin, here's how you wisely invest in Bitcoin. You stop trying to time the bottom. You stop getting fancy. You stop thinking that you're smarter than everybody else. and you set up a schedule to dollar cost average, and if it drops low enough, you just dump more in. If you truly believe that it'll be worth more in 5 years than it is now, no matter what. And by the way, that gets even easier to defend when the market drops, right? Because it's easier for Bitcoin to go above 55 than it is for it to go above 75, correct? Agreed? If you have this concept, this pie-in-the-sky idea, then in 5 to 10 years, Bitcoin will be worth more than it is right now, which, by the way, over the course of 10 years, Bitcoin has always been worth more, period. Even over 7 years, it's always been worth more 7 years later, at all times, as far as I'm aware. 10 years, I know that for a fact. 7 years, I'm quite confident that that's the truth. At least 98% of the time it has been. If you've got that confidence, then here's what you do. You take the long-term outlook. You plant the seeds in the ground, and you realize that the way you succeed in life financially is like this. There was a parable of a Chinese bamboo farmer. A Chinese bamboo farmer had some bamboo that he planted in the ground, and he watered it every day. He watered it every single day. And his neighbors who were planting traditional bamboo, grows extremely quickly, they all laughed at him because he was just watering a patch of dirt. And the next year, he was watering a patch of dirt. Nothing came up. And the other farmers began to mock him because he's watering dirt. And the next year passes, and the man's watering dirt. And the next year passes, and the man's watering dirt. And the next year passes, and the man's watering dirt. And the mockery and the laughing gets more and more intense from the farmers next door that are doing several harvests a year, living large, but have no investments. And so the farmer that's watering dirt does this for 10 years. And then one day, the bamboo breaks through the ground. And over the next 30 days, it grows taller than any of the other bamboo. And because it takes so long to grow, it takes 10 years of being in the ground before you see any harvest, it's rare. Because not many people are willing to grow it. Not many people are willing to put the effort that it takes in. Not many people are willing to water dirt for 10 years and see nothing. And so when it does pop through the ground, and when it does begin to grow, it grows faster than all the other bamboo, grows much taller. And when it's harvested, it is some of the most precious fine bamboo in all the land, and it sells for 100 times as much as what the farmers next door sold. And the reason is because what they were doing was easy. It's easy. What the guy that was watering dirt for 10 years was doing was hard. And so if you want to succeed in investment, you got to be like the guy that was watering dirt. You got to go water some dirt. You got to squirrel away some money in some investments and say, man, you got to pay a price. So here's the thing. You're not going to be the same person in 10 years that you are right now. So it's kind of scary to give the guy that you're going to be in 10 years money, because he's going to be a different person. He's not you. He's you 10 years older, right? It's kind of scary to say, I'm going to sacrifice this money right now so that myself in retirement 30, 40 years from now can have money. It's almost an act of, it is an act of delayed gratification, but it's almost an act of generosity, because in a very real sense, it is just you getting rid of money. In a very real sense, it is you feeling like you're just flushing it down the toilet because you are not going to see it again for a very long time. But guess what? Do you want to be like the farmer that mocked and had to grow bamboo until he was 120 years old? Or do you want to be like the farmer that did that a couple times, watered dirt a few times throughout his life and was one of the richest people in the land because he did that? That's your choice. That's your choice. So when the market drops, buy the dip. Hold it for as long as it takes statistically for the market to always be in profit. The United States stock market, you give it 20 years, every single time it's been in profit. The Bitcoin market, you give it 7 years, every single time it's been in profit. Buy it and don't sell it until you hit whatever that number is, the guaranteed profit. Now, of course, the market's not always going to perform in the future the same way that it has in the past. But that's the best thing you got, right? This is a very simple video. I'm explaining it 100 different ways so that it's as simple as possible and you really get it. It's important. It is basic, right? This is like, let's say you're a Division I football player. This is you knowing how to run a mile. This is very simple. This is the basic stuff. There's more complicated things than this, obviously, but this is the basic stuff. This is behavioral. This is psychological. This is where you win. This is your athleticism. Are you willing to set up a schedule and say, I'm going to do this activity for wealth generation on a recurring basis? My wife and I, when we were paying off debt, every single month we pay off debt. We put something into it. When we are just living, every single month we do a budget. What are these pulses, these beats, right? What are these beats in your life? What are they? What's the rhythm? Is it just every once in a while that you do something for wealth generation? Is it out of sync? Is it disharmonious? Or is it on a schedule? There's a reason that rhythm is beautiful. Yeah? Because God made it that way. When you control the earth, you do it consistently. And so if you are working in the cryptocurrency space, it's not about doing a budget once. It's not about doing an investment plan once. It's not about making an investment one time. It's about doing it on a schedule. It's not about the beat. It's about the beats. No drummer is a good drummer when he says, good night, right? I can do that. Anybody can do that. That man's over there like, right? They're over there actually making a beat. They're doing something, right? There's something beautiful. So create something beautiful, set up a structure for your investments, and make a beat. What's your beat? It's your investment plan. And you stick to it, and you hold it for a long time. We have a video that'll be in the Financial Sovereignty Academy on this. I've already shot it. It's just going to be part of it at launch for all of you guys that join. Our investment plan at McAfee Media, Crypto Jeb, our company is like this. Every time interval, that is the day of the week or month and the time of day, so that we can be specific, because we need to have sovereignty over our time as well, which is something that we'll be delving into more as the years go on, and we teach more of this. Time sovereignty, that's important also. We decide on the time that we're going to do this, the interval, the beat. In music theory, this is called the measure. Right? Or it's not exactly the measure, but you understand what I'm saying. It's the beat, right? It's the beat. It's what the drummer's doing. It's the beat. So this is the beat. This is the beats per minute, I suppose I should. The tempo, I'm sorry. The tempo. I said the measure. It's the tempo. I apologize. This is the tempo. This is the tempo of our investments. We're saying to ourselves, this is the tempo. We're doing 120 beats a minute. No, we're doing 4 beats a month. Every Friday. 52 a month, 52 a year. Every Friday. Every other Friday. 26 a year. 120 beats a minute, 26 investments a year. That's our tempo. Excuse me for the messed up definition there. Every interval, we will invest X amount into Y cryptocurrencies or stocks or real estate, whatever, on crypto.com or on Coinbase, on an exchange. And when you set that up and you run that, for years, you know what happens? You end up having a lot of wealth. Surprisingly. It ends up happening. It's that simple. So as Bitcoin drops here, here's what wise investors do. They buy more if they believe one thing. I want to make this as simple as I possibly can. Wise investors, when an asset, if an investor believes that an asset will, if an investor believes that an asset will be worth more in a certain amount of time, and they think it's the best of all their picks, when it drops, they buy more. Laser said both are right. I'm a drummer. Yeah, you got to have that consistent beat, right? Again, Lasers, correct me if I'm wrong. Normally, that's the kick drum, right? You're down there just putting that underbeat. And then you're doing other stuff on top of that, right? Yeah, of course, right? If you're a drum, obviously you got the, like, I'm saying you guys Fast Car, right, by Luke Combs, and it was a cover of the Tracy Chapman song from the 80s, but there's that tempo. The whole song is like this. There's one beat, the entire song, and it just creates this beautiful melancholy, like just this beautiful sense. But there's also beats on top of that, right? After you set that baseline of investment, every Friday, I'm doing this. Every first Tuesday of the month, we're doing our budget. Then you build on top of that. Obviously, there's more to do than that. Just like Laser's saying, both are right. I'm a drummer. You start out with that beat, you figure out the tempo, and then you build more things on top of that. And that's where you get to have some kind of beauty. But you don't ever succeed in music if you don't have a tempo, if you're out of sync. It's the same thing in investment. You've got to have some kind of tempo to when and how and where you do things. So continue to invest in the cryptocurrency space, and you will succeed. Water your Bitcoin, guys. All right, guys. Emily Guzman donated $2. Said, can you look at Poly again? I assume you're talking about Polygon. We'll look at it here for just a second. We're going to have to wrap it out pretty soon. But before we do, I also want to let you guys know a little bit about NordVPN. If you guys have not already signed up for NordVPN, here's why you should. NordVPN is going to keep you safe. You see, you can make all the investments you want, but if they get stolen, it didn't do much for you. Like, if you put money into if you make an investment for the future, it's an expense in the short term because you're not seeing that money again for a while. It's an expense in the short term. It remains only an expense if it gets stolen because you don't ever get to harvest it. It's like a thief coming and stealing the bamboo, right? You did all that work to plant the bamboo. A thief came and stole it. Well, great. Now I just wasted 10 years watering bamboo because somebody came and stole it. That farmer needs NordVPN, man. He needs to protect himself from those bamboo thieves, and that's why you need to sign up for NordVPN as well. If you have not already signed up, here's why. They hide your IP address and keep your online activity private from the spying eyes and the cyber criminals that are trying to steal from you. They want to get your private keys. They want to get your login credentials. They want to get into your hot wallet on your laptop. They want to get into your MetaMask. They want to get into all these things. They want to steal from you because they know that you have wealth, because you have some wisdom, and so you were able to build it, and they are trying to build their wealth, and their entire plan, their plan is to build wealth by stealing it from people that actually know how to build wealth because they are fools and they are, horrible human beings that need to repent and be redeemed, and so they want to steal from you. Don't let them. Sign up for NordVPN and let NordVPN protect you. Polygon. Let's look at Polygon for a second. We're going to wrap it out here pretty soon. We're getting over time. But Polygon is obviously down considerably. All-time high on Polygon was all the way up here at approximately $2.66. What I like about Polygon is the fixed maximum supply. The 10 billion maximum supply, we've already hit that. One of the things that I have trouble with about Polygon is that Polygon was heavily intended to assist Ethereum. They've had to adjust a little bit because Polygon is, of course, at its core, scalability technology for Ethereum. So in the one sense, I like that because I like Ethereum. On the other hand, that's difficult because Ethereum had the ETH 2.0 update come out a couple of years ago, and so that has been helping quite a bit. Now, Polygon has obviously adjusted and adapted and is still useful to the Ethereum protocol. It does still help with scaling, and it is still one of the largest cryptocurrencies in the game. On Polygon, though, as with most other cryptocurrencies in this cryptocurrency space right now, it is one that I would have to say I don't have the confidence is going to be worth more in 5 to 7 years than it is right now. It probably will, but I can't in good faith say that anything in crypto other than Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be worth more in 5 to 7 years than they are right now. And the reason for that is because I don't have the track record. With Ethereum and Bitcoin, we've seen several bull markets. We've seen several bull markets where if you held it, you succeeded, and that's just the way it was. Most of these altcoins are still in the kind of the speculative, almost like penny stock phase. Even Cardano, as much as I love Cardano. Cardano had one major bull market, and that's basically it so far. It doesn't have this consistent trend of just going up over time, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for trading a bull market. You can do that, and that's great. You can ride a wave. That's awesome. I'm interested in seeing the tide go up. So Polygon, as much as it is great technology, and as much as I, by the way, do hold Polygon, I don't hold it for the ultra long term. I hold it in a trade. In my investment, I hold Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that's it. In a trade that I'm doing for this bull market, I've got like 20 different altcoins. but I'm selling them at the top because I'm trying to ride the wave of this bull market. As I start to see more coins do what Bitcoin and Ethereum and the United States stock market do, which is that they go up over time, and if you hold them for 5 to 7 years or 10 years or 20 years, you're going to be in a profit almost guaranteed. That's where I make those investments for the long run. Like in real estate. The reason you know why you buy real estate? Because if you take half decent care of the property, it's going to be worth more just, no matter what you do. It just goes up. Like the tide goes up and it goes up too. You're investing in the tide, not in the wave. If you're working with the wave, you're doing a trade. If you're working with the tide, then you're doing an investment. So as far as Polygon goes, I like the project. I think it will be worth more in the coming several months as we continue on, but it's not something I'm investing in. I'm investing in U.S. stocks. I'm investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we're working on getting to the point of investing in real estate, because an investment is something that's tax-wise is something you hold for. Yes, absolutely. Jeb, are you in Pennsylvania? Not even close. I've only ever been to Pennsylvania one time. I'm in Florida. All right. All right. Guys, I also want to let you know a little bit about Vault. And the reason is that Vault almost acts like this protection. Oops, sorry. Just realized the page is not here. Let's grab that. See, the reason that I want you guys to sign up for Vault, I had that up. Let me pull that up again. Here we go. The reason I want you guys to sign up for Vault is because Vault is going to keep you safe. You see, when you are investing and trading in Bitcoin, two different things can happen. Number one, you can get hacked. That's why NordVPN is a sponsor. Number two, you can lose your keys. That's why Uphold Vault is a sponsor. Because those are both terrible things that can happen to you that I want to protect you from. You see why we take sponsors, and like the sponsors we take. These are sponsors that are going to help keep your investments safe. If you buy Bitcoin, it's the same thing with NordVPN. If you buy Bitcoin and somebody hacks you and steals it from you, then it was a sunk cost. You just lost the money. You're just screwed. You just lost all the money. If you buy Bitcoin and you lose the key, you just lost all the money. You kind of are not going to succeed if you lose the investment. If you buy a bunch of stocks and let's say that they were like that the world worked in such a way where it was like paper, right? No, let's say this. Let's say you bought some physical gold and you've been buying physical gold every single week for years, or every month for years, and then you misplaced it. What? Well, you're screwed. There's a word for what you are. There's a word for what you are. It's screwed. There's a phrase for what you are. You're up a creek without a paddle. That's what you're going to be with Bitcoin if you don't do something to secure your keys. I am all for self-custody. I also know that you can self-custody with assistance right here, because you have two keys to get into your vault. You're on Uphold, and should you lose one of them, Uphold's key will stand into place. It's very simple, guys. $5 a month, $49.99 a year. Very, very, very low price for what this is, and a free 30-day trial. You can protect your funds from losing them. Vault, Vault, NordVPN, very low price. Very, very, very low price products, but they act as not literally insurance, but they almost act as an insurance policy. They act as a protection against you losing your investment, which is worth it. You absolutely ought to consider those products and check them out. Link in the description box down below. I buy Bitcoin on Fridays and at noon, and it just works. Hashtag DCA, hashtag HODL. That's right. Even Michael Saylor doesn't buy it every Friday, right? But Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, they've got a kind of a pattern where they buy it roughly every quarter. It's not exactly on a beat, but it's close, right? There's a pattern to it. It's just you do it on a schedule. You hold it for the long run. It's important. All right. So we'll read a little bit of chat, and then we're going to wrap it out here in just a minute. Also, guys, make sure to check out Crypto.com if you've not already. I want to mention them too. Crypto.com is the place to go if you want to succeed investing in cryptocurrency. Obviously, you're going to need to trade Bitcoin somewhere. You're going to need to trade all of your cryptocurrency somewhere. They've got so many cryptocurrencies. They've got everything you need, over 350 cryptos. And you can set up your recurring purchases here on Crypto.com. So make sure if you've not already to check out Crypto.com. They've also got all of their on-chain staking here. So while you're holding your positions, you can also stake them to generate even more wealth, which will supercharge your wealth journey. So make sure to check out Crypto.com with the link in the description box down below as well. Let's read chat for just a second, and then we will wrap it out. Raw Food Writer said, Jeb is the Dave Ramsey of crypto. You know what's funny about Dave Ramsey? Dave Ramsey doesn't like crypto. I wish he did, because if he did, I'd be out of a job, because I do teach a lot of the same things that he does. People hate on Dave Ramsey Dave Ramsey has helped tens of millions of people turn their life around financially. And I totally agree. There are things that you can do to build wealth on top of what Ramsey teaches. But if you're just getting started, you absolutely ought to follow his stuff. I'm a huge fan of Dave Ramsey. Very, very, very big fan of Dave Ramsey. Absolutely love his stuff. He's not right on everything. And I do differ. I do have different opinions than him on some things. We have the financial sovereignty way, which it kind of looks a little bit like the baby steps. It's different though, because if I wrote the baby steps, I would write them the way that I wrote the FinSov way. So I obviously don't agree with him on absolutely everything. I obviously don't agree with him on crypto, but I do agree with him that you need to see a track record before you start investing in something. I think that Bitcoin is getting to that point. It's been almost 15 years and it's had a proven track record that entire time. Ethereum is getting in the same boat too, which is why the ETFs are going online. They've got those proven track records. That's part of what's giving the SEC a little bit more confidence to actually approve them. So I have a lot of respect for Dave Ramsey. You should definitely check him out. As with any human being, take what he has with a grain of salt, because he's not always right. But he is right on a lot of things. And there's the fruit, right? Jesus says about John the Baptist, wisdom is justified of her children, right? The Pharisees were coming at Jesus and saying, John the Baptist eats locusts and lives in the wilderness, right? But you're sitting here and eating with sinners and tax collectors, and you're you're drinking wine and you're having a feast. You're a glutton and a wine bibber, which is the old-fashioned way of saying you're a drunk, right? So Jesus said, John the Baptist may have run his ministry that way. I run my ministry my way. He has had much fruit. I have had much fruit. And he says the key words, wisdom is justified of her children. The wisdom that Dave Ramsey teaches is justified of his children, of the fact that he's had literally his 3 children, but also that he's had tens of millions of people get out of debt and succeed financially. That proves that there's some wisdom in what he's saying. And so when you apply that to crypto, you say, all right, what is the what wisdom can we follow? What are the children? Wisdom is justified of our children. You know something is wise because of what it produces. So if we follow the same principles that Ramsey teaches, and the Bible teaches, by the way, about money, I call them the 6 laws of money. The children are everybody that has ever succeeded has followed at least most of them, and people that have truly succeeded have followed all of them. That's where we know that they're wisdom. And so we invest, right? We invest. So I do have a lot of similarities with Dave Ramsey, and that's because a lot of people are this burn hot and fast and burn out kind of mentality. That's why most YouTube channels are like dead by the time that how old we are. Most influencers are not still succeeding as an influencer 7 years later, like I am. And the reason is because what I'm teaching is timeless. This is not a flash in the pan moment. This is not oh, you're interested in Jake Paul and Logan Paul because they're 18 and trendy, right? No, this is timeless wisdom that we teach. It will never change. I will be teaching the exact same wisdom in 40 years that I am now. It doesn't change. And that's why people like Dave Ramsey, even if you disagree with him, succeed anyway, because he teaches the exact same thing, and the exact same thing is true every single time. And that's what we do. So, what we're doing, I believe, will end up being extremely successful because we're teaching stuff that works. And as the years go on and more of you guys do what we teach, and you are like, whoa, and I actually did what Jeb said. Now I'm worth 4 times as much as I was. What gives? Like, how'd that happen? Oh, I'm going to be a diehard fan. That's how you build a fan base, right? That's where I know that what we're doing here on YouTube is going to end up blowing up over the course of the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Because as I teach you guys to be successful and you grow wealth and you're like, man, I actually listened to Jeb and I did what he said. Now I'm a millionaire. You know what happens? You go and tell everybody you know, go listen to Jeb. And then you know what you say. You say, but Jeb's also teaching the Bible, and so you get to use that as a way to share the word. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed today's stream. We're going to wrap it out. Hope you have enjoyed today's episode of FinSov Friday. If you've not already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more content because, guys, we are never going to stop. We're going to be teaching on financial sovereignty and how to succeed with money for the rest of my days here on Earth, which I hope are many, so that I can teach as many of you guys as possible how to succeed financially. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you have not enjoyed the video, please tell me why. I'd love to hear the feedback because I'm always trying to grow. And also make sure to check out our sponsors because they're going to help you. And if you sign up, it helps the channel also. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. We're going to wrap it out. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got got a real good feeling.